It's Amanda here with the Counseling Collective. Hope you guys are all doing well. So welcome to our fourth installment in the special Ask Amanda Lives Facebook series. So we're doing this special series, we've been doing this special series to offer further support for you guys through this quarantine, to answer any questions or concerns that you guys may be having. And so welcome. This is our fourth and last week. What we did the first week is talked about good sleep habits, because a lot of our routines are all messed up. We're not leaving the house to go to work. Our kiddos don't need to get out the house to get onto the bus or to go to school. And so because of all of that, our routines are a little messed up. Maybe we're staying up a little bit later than normal. Maybe we're not sleeping or falling asleep very well. So in the first installment, we talked about sleep. The second one, I talked a little bit about dealing with uncertainty, how to manage uncertain times like we're in right now with the quarantine. And then we also talked about how to manage social media use so that it doesn't cause you additional anxiety and stress when you're reading the news and kind of staying updated with what's going on. And then last week, we talked about coping with anxiety, how to, kind of come up with good coping strategies for dealing with anxiety. And so then today, well, we'll get to what we're talking about today in a second, okay? So again, let me just reiterate, this is the fourth in the series, so check out the previous ones. We've got lots of resources on our website, which is discovercounselingcollective.com. We have a blog there that we've been posting to for 2 years. So we've got tons of resources on good mental health. We also post to social media, Facebook, Instagram. Hi, good morning, everybody. Thanks for letting me know you're here. So we post to Facebook, Instagram. We have a YouTube channel. So we post lots of informative, helpful information there pretty much nearly daily. So kind of daily inspiration for good mental health, good tips, good habits. So please check us out on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Follow us, like us, share us. The more people that can kind of spread the word and get the word out there about everything related to mental health, the better. So check all of those things out. And if you are tuned in today, please drop a comment. Let me know you're here. Let me know if you do have any questions or comments or concerns that either you've been having through this quarantine or you've been hearing or seeing a lot of people having. And I'd be happy to answer it. Alrighty, so the question for today that I've been hearing a lot about is, what do I do with, and then fill in the blank with whatever feeling. What do I do with all this anger I'm feeling? What do I do with all this resentment I'm feeling? What do I do with all of this sadness I'm feeling? What do I do with all this grief, loss that I'm dealing with? So all of those, kind of feelings, like what do I do with these feelings in the midst of all of this? And so let me say that I think this quarantine, I think the COVID public health crisis, I think is exacerbating existing issues that maybe you were struggling with before. If you were sad before, but you were able to get outside a lot or hang out with friends a lot, then maybe that was helpful with dealing with your sadness. But now, because of the quarantine and the stay-at-home order, you might not have your typical go-to coping strategies to help with that sadness, and so that then exacerbates those feelings. Maybe you were angry with your spouse or your family before, but again, you were able to get out of the house, you were able to avoid them, perhaps as much as possible. And so then, rather than actually dealing with your anger, you avoided it or distracted yourself from it or whatever. And so now, again, with the stay-at-home order, this quarantine, you're kind of stuck in our houses and, kind of limiting the things that we can do. And so what do you do with these feelings that you're having? The number one suggestion that I would have for you is that you consider journaling on a consistent basis. So when I say journaling, I think a lot of people think about, like the I'm 10 years old, Dear Diary sort of thing. And while that's all well and good, there's lots and lots of different ways that you can journal. And so it's a matter of kind of trial and error, figuring out what works best for you. I talked about that actually last week with the coping strategies, kind of figuring out what works for you and giving everything a try, experimenting really. But with journaling, I'm going to run through a couple of different kinds of journaling, and then I'll let it up to you to kind of figure out what suits you. So gratitude journaling is the first kind that I often talk with clients about. There's a blog on our website, discovercounselingcollective.com, on gratitude journaling. You can type it in the little search category thing. So gratitude journaling helps you to focus on the things that you can be grateful for, the things that you did accomplish that day. And so what gratitude journaling does is it helps shift your mindset from the negative or the things that are bad or things you're disappointed about perhaps, and it shifts your mindset to notice the positives and be grateful for the positives. So there's these brain structures in our brain, the reticular activating system. They pay attention to stimuli and figure out what's important to us or not. It's in the blog. It's really awesome neuroscience stuff if you're curious. But basically, noticing the positive things in your life will help you to notice more positive things in your life. And so it just kind of expands in that way. So gratitude journaling is the first kind of journaling that I would suggest that you give a try to, again, especially because of this quarantine. We've got so much, quite frankly, that sucks, right? And we don't know how to deal with, and we don't know how to manage. And so practicing some gratitude journaling, I think could be really helpful to put things in perspective. I'm not sick. No one that I love is sick. Incidences are reducing in my county or my area, or things are starting to open back up again, or whatever the case may be. So give gratitude journaling a try. That's the first tip. Again, there's information on the website, discovercounselingcollective.com, on our blog on kind of how to and why gratitude journaling is useful and helpful. The second kind of journaling that I would suggest is more so related to the feelings. So again, the question that we started with is like, what do I do with these feelings that I'm having? Oftentimes, as I alluded to before, we tend to distract ourselves. We tend to minimize or dismiss these feelings. They're not valid, doesn't matter, whatever. And in doing that, you don't actually deal with or cope with or manage or address any of these feelings. And so the second kind of journaling that I'd like to talk to you about today is more so related to that. So either throughout the course of the day, maybe like lunchtime and then at dinner time, kind of breaking up the day, reflecting on how the day's going, or just kind of at nighttime, at bedtime. Going back to our first in the series, I talked about sleep. And so one of the things that I probably think I mentioned was the idea of journaling right before bedtime, because it's a non-techie kind of thing. So it's not going to activate, the blue light isn't going to activate and reduce the melatonin from helping you to get sleepy. So journaling right before bedtime is a really great idea. And so reflecting on situations throughout the course of the day that either made me sad or that made me really angry or that I was really upset about or feeling really anxious or nervous about perhaps. Reflecting on those kinds of feelings throughout the day and then journaling about what was happening. Where was I? Who was I with? What was going on? Why did I feel that way? What did I do about it? Did that help me to feel better? All of those kinds of things are really, really great to journal about. And so it might not necessarily be super beneficial to write it down like just today and just tomorrow. But what sometimes can be really helpful is that then you look back over, let's say the past week, and then you start to see patterns and you start to notice trends and you start to see like, oh, you know what? I'm feeling angry an awful lot. I didn't realize that I was angry almost every day. Or when I get angry, this is what I do, and I lash out, and it's an exaggerated anger response perhaps. So you're able to then reflect on your day every day, but then you're also able to see if there's patterns over the past week, or every time I'm in this situation or dealing with this person or in this meeting with my boss or whatever, I tend to feel X way. So those are the two kinds of journaling that I would suggest. Gratitude journaling first, and or this kind of how do you feel, why do you feel that way, what did you do that was helpful, and then noticing patterns or trends. The other thing with journaling is that sometimes people, they don't like to go back and reread what they wrote. And again, journaling is very individualized. Do what works for you. Don't feel like you need to go back and look for patterns or trends. Sometimes people will literally journal to like word dump everything out, I guess is a good way to think about it. And then, I've seen people like rip it up and throw it away, or type it into the computer and then delete the document and have it not be a record or a trace of it. And so figure out what works for you. If writing and then deleting is helpful for you to kind of make sense of things and process things, then go for it. So those are a couple of tips on journaling. I really encourage you to give it a try. You don't necessarily need to do it every day either. You can go through spurts, kind of trial and error, figure out what works for you. But yeah, I really encourage you to give journaling a try, especially as we're dealing with the quarantine and trying to figure out what to do with all of these feelings that we're having that are maybe being exacerbated and kind of intensified because of all of the quarantine and the stay-at-home order and the fear about the uncertainty and everything that we're dealing with. All right. Anyway, if you guys are just joining us, please drop a comment. Let me know you're here. Let me know if you have any questions or concerns that we can answer as we're doing our fourth here in this installment of the Ask Amanda series. So the other question that we had gotten for today was, when should I consider therapy? When should I consider professional therapy? And so I will say this is a really great question. And I will also say that I think that almost nearly everyone can probably benefit from some sort of therapy. Again, on our website, discovercounselingcollective.com, there's a blog on when to consider therapy. So again, you can kind of type that into the search. It was a series of 3 blog installments that I wrote on when to consider therapy, how to find a therapist, and what to expect in a first therapy appointment. Because I find a lot of people have, especially if you've never been in therapy, you don't really know what to expect. It happens behind a closed door. And so it's shrouded in mystery, right? And so my goal, of course, through this series and through the blog and through everything we do on social media is to kind of reduce the stigma associated with mental health, but then also to kind of inform people of what it's like. And so when to consider therapy, I would encourage all of you to consider therapy. Therapy, whether you're dealing with mental health issues, severe mental health issues or not, I think is a really great opportunity for you to, again, similarly to what we were just talking about with journaling, to kind of pause and reflect, evaluate what's working for me. What am I doing? What's working for me? How's it working? And do I need to make any adjustments or tweak anything? A professional counselor. So I'm a licensed professional counselor. So I've been trained, master's program licensed. So I have years and years of experience of working with and understanding people and the way that they think and the way that they behave. And so a therapist, a trained licensed professional, can help you. They're unbiased. They are disconnected from your everyday life. They can offer a different perspective perhaps, and or they can just offer a listening ear. Sometimes we feel like nobody really listens to us. We talk and talk and talk and nobody really cares. Nobody's hearing us. And so that's another really great benefit of therapy, seeing a professional therapist, is that we listen. And a really good therapist is going to listen to you, and they're going to offer alternative suggestions or a different perspective, or really just unbiased, an unbiased perspective on things. So that's my kind of, I think everybody can benefit from therapy, okay? But in general, if you're consistently feeling stressed out or overwhelmed or anxious or nervous or always worried or sad or angry or any of those things, those are big feeling words, right? But any of those kinds of things, if you're feeling consistently any of those ways, I would really encourage you to consider therapy. What you get out of therapy obviously can be really different, and that's something you and your therapist can kind of identify the goals and what you want to get out of your time working together. But if you're consistently feeling those ways, those are indicators that you might want to consider additional help. And again, part of my mission is to reduce the stigma about mental health, and so there's nothing wrong with asking for and looking for additional help. And so I would just encourage you to consider that. So with this quarantine, with COVID, a lot of insurances have covered now telehealth appointments. So online therapy, you see your therapist through your video. It's similar to like Skype or FaceTime, like you're probably doing that with your friends and family and whatever. So it's similar to that, but it would be through a HIPAA compliant, secure, encrypted platform. And so a lot of insurances, everyone that I know of anyway, is now covering telehealth services, so this online video therapy kind of service, to encourage people to not be going, kind of face-to-face to see their therapist and whatever, to kind of maintain everybody's good health, good physical and mental health. So nearly every insurance that I know of is covering telehealth, and some are also waiving client responsibility right now. And so what that means is that if you typically have a $25 copay when you go to see the doctor, if you're doing online appointments, which your insurance is covering anyway, you don't have to pay that $25 copay. Your insurance will reimburse the full amount. So you have literally nothing out of your pocket that you would need to pay for these online appointments. And so again, these are huge, awesome benefits that insurances are now offering. They're noticing the value of mental health, they're noticing the value of therapy, and they're attempting to increase access of care to everybody. And so I would really encourage you to consider therapy as we're all dealing with this whole world shift, strange thing. I just wrote a blog that we posted this morning called Why It's Okay to Not Be Okay. So again, that's on our website, discovercounselingcollective.com. But I say, like, our world shrunk more than 2 months ago, and we're all adjusting to this new, strange world and the things we can and cannot do. And so now might be the best time to consider therapy. So again, check out the website, the blog. If you have additional questions or really want to understand how to find a therapist and or what to expect in a first therapy appointment, please feel free to reach out to us here at the Counseling Collective. If you have any questions or if you want us to look into your benefits, if you're curious if your insurance is waiving your client responsibility, any of that kind of stuff, we're here to help. We're here to make sense of mental health. And so I would just encourage you, as you are social distancing and taking good care of your physical health through wearing masks and washing your hands and all that good stuff, I would really also encourage you to take care of your mental health as well. And just know that the therapists here at the Counseling Collective are here to help you in doing that. So, anybody else want to say hi yet today before we wrap up? So again, this was our 4th installment of the Ask Amanda series. I really appreciate you guys joining us and submitting these questions so that we can address some of the common concerns that people are having during the quarantine. Again, our website, discovercounselingcollective.com. Lots of information there on our blogs. You can also, of course, read about the therapists in our bios and all that sort of stuff. And check us out on our social media channels. We'd love it if you would follow us or like us or share us and kind of help spread the word with that. I wish you guys all good physical health, good mental health, and I hope that you all take care. Bye-bye.